This episode is made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 online art school in the entire planet. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy.
I am deep in the annals of your mind. I am deep in the annals of your...
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I am Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today, we are discussing a monumental loss. Rest in peace, Cartoon Network. End of an era.
End of an era. But before we get into it, make sure to like, touch, jingle, flick all our bells and buttons over there.
Touch it with your nubile fingers.
This is the last episode on this channel.
Oh my goodness.
If you have not yet already followed our new podcast channel that all the future episodes will be on, please go do that.
Follow us on the new podcast channel. What a topic to end this podcast on this channel.
I know.
When we started with the first episode was why Janet quit Disney, and then we're ending this podcast in this channel with Rest in Peace Cartoon Network.
I know.
Man.
It would have actually been a different topic, but then I got sick and wouldn't have been fun. But it
seems as though everything happened for a reason.
I know. It's like I got better. I look at the news and the world is imploding.
On your birthday too.
On my birthday.
It was on your birthday when Cartoon Network got swallowed up by WB.
I turned 30 and Cartoon Network turned 30 and then subsequently died. So what happened? Let me explain what happened first. If you are all confused, Cartoon Network is...
There's some of them. I can hear them. I think. Oh, they're yelling. Some of them over there. They're yelling. They're yelling at you. They're saying that Cartoon Network is actually still alive technically, and that the label is alive. Yeah, sure, they got swallowed by WB, but it's fake news. It's exaggeration.
Yes.
It's sensationalism to suggest that Cartoon Network is no more. Janet, what do you say to that? Because you could be spreading false information. Misinformation.
Ooh, you're a liar.
Janet the liar.
Well, okay. So I found... How did we find out the news? Oh, we found out because... I was literally about to edit my video. And I think I was on YouTube researching tags or something and then recording video right there. And normally I try to not look at news throughout the day, so
especially when we got a video coming out right before the day.
But then the title was just too good to resist.
What was the title?
It was something like Cartoon Network is dead or something. And I was like, what?
And then when you said what, I was like, what?
And I was like, no way.
And then I was like, what?
I'm like, Cartoon Network is dead.
And then I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm like, and so we watched this video, and I just could not believe my eyes. But then at the same time, I was like, I guess. Like, we could have assumed this was coming. Someone actually did on Twitter when the...
first round of layoffs
for
happened.
Warner Brothers was happening. Yeah.
Good call.
But then I went on... I shouldn't have.
You shouldn't have.
But I went to Twitter... because the quartering was reading off some tweets on Twitter, and I was like, oh god, okay, I wonder what animation Twitter is saying about this. The ring entices me this time. And I went to Twitter.
It's like
and I went to Twitter, and I just typed in Cartoon Network, and I just read the top hot takes on what's happening. I was like so confused because a lot of people were saying, oh, it's misinformation. I did my research, okay. This news basically comes straight from WB themselves because they had an announcement, I assume, to staff of what was happening, and it got leaked. So Variety, Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, Yahoo News, and finally Cartoon Brew all covered this. So all the people saying this is misinformation I'm going to get into it, but like, I this is not misinformation. This is literally entertainment industry news. So what happened is, because of the Warner Brothers Discovery merger thing, Zaslav has, as you know, or should know, has been making really, really drastic cuts. Last time it was they cut Batgirl, they cut Scoob, the movie, and they cut a lot of animation shows in WB, as well as scripted and unscripted shows. It just seems like it's like a slaughterhouse over there right now. The next round of cuts just came, and it affected Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network basically let go of 82 plus employees. I say 82 plus because after the initial news that's very sensationalized, as some people would say, more people got cut.
Oh, jeez.
Including top marketing executives at Cartoon Network. On top of the 82 and counting people who have been let go, the currently vacant positions are basically announced that they're not going to be filling them anymore. So that's about 40 something vacant positions that are just gone. There's no longer, like, we were gonna hire, but that job just doesn't exist anymore. And then on top of that, Cartoon Network is merging with Warner Brothers Animation. Basically, Cartoon Network no longer has independent control over what shows they are going to have. It's all going to be under the Warner Brothers umbrella. But they're keeping the labels separate for now. They're still keeping Warner Brothers Animation, they're still keeping the Cartoon Network label and the network, all that stuff. But essentially, the studio itself has been just kind of, I would say a big majority of people have been laid off and then merged together with whoever's left in Warner Brothers Animation. That's the news. So when people say, well, Cartoon Network is dead, or rest in peace, to me, with a merger, like, the fact that the label still exists is kind of a technicality. The fact that, like, technically the studio still exists is a technicality, because what is it going to be known for going forward? Is it going to...
So it's like Gohan and Trunks.
Yeah.
Gotenks.
Yes.
But then are they really Gohan and Trunks?
Yeah, because they're not...
Separate?
Yeah, they don't separate anymore. So is it just Warner Brothers Animation now? Because if I were an employee, that's what I'd be thinking. I'd be like, cool, I don't care. But, like, do I put Warner Brothers on my resume instead of Cartoon?
Yeah,
like, I don't...
then it gets super confusing.
Yeah.
I think you might as well just put WB. I mean, like, that's where your paychecks come from.
Yeah. And
it just makes it super simple.
To me, keeping the label is simply a logistics thing of, like, we'll just slowly phase out this Cartoon Network brand, and when it's finally time later, we'll, like, you know, rebrand or whatever. But, like, the whole weird thing where people will be like, well, it's misinformation, but it's complicated and it's still bad news. I'm like, well, just...
And you don't understand, because I work in the industry. Heart-turn, bro, you're just reporting on it.
Yeah, it's just silly. So that's the news itself. Now I'm going to explain the public reaction in terms of the different camps of people and what their reaction says about them. So let's start with the entertainment industry as a whole, Hollywood as a whole. This includes just live action, everyone. Literally, people like the Hollywood Reporter who reports for their audience is just kind of like industry professionals, whether you're a grip or a director or an animator or whatever.
PA. Yeah.
They don't care.
We were in the news cycle for one day.
Literally.
For one day. Hollywood Reporter and Variety. Not even what Variety they looked at it, they reported it from like a different angle.
Yeah,
right?
like they literally, instead of like mentioning Cartoon Network at all, because they know people literally do not give two shits about artists and animators, they instead talk about how like, oh, like Bachelorette is like canceled or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like pared down.
We're recording this as of Friday. We usually do the podcast on Thursday, but you got swamped with the video basically. And we checked this morning to see if there's any news. In fact, it's like the entire landscape is just over it.
Yeah.
We were in the news for one day, and now everyone's talking about the Rings of Power finale.
Yeah, which is not great news either, because literally no one's watching it anymore. But like, they'd literally rather talk about that than
talk about us.
This, yeah, because we don't matter. Like, I feel like what really annoys me about animation Twitter, artists on the internet in general, they're kind of narcissistic, because even when I was in college, okay, I would call us in a very like dark humor kind of way, we're the bastard stepchild of Hollywood.
Animation, you mean?
Animation, yes. People, artists like us who work for it or want to work for it. And I remember my fellow classmates found it a little too dark, and then they were like, oh, don't say that about yourself. And then but it's true. I was like, it's true. Like, is it not true? Like, literally no one, live action people never think about us. They don't really consider us filmmakers. They don't think we contribute to Hollywood whatsoever. We're like, in the scheme of things, we don't matter.
We entertain the children.
Literally,
that's our function.
That's how they see us.
Yeah.
You're like the lame weirdos that solely like care too much about entertaining children. And
we have the Scorseses and the softies over here. Like, I'm trying to say something.
Yeah.
About people.
Yeah.
Heavier shit, which is like whatever. That like Hollywood really loves to smell its own farts. But of course, attitude like that, like you're just gonna look at like kids' cartoons and go like, that's kids' cartoons, man. Yeah,
like literally when you get articles every single Oscar season that like the only reason, I don't know, that Disney Pixar movie won is because people literally did not watch.
You didn't watch Kaguya.
The other movies.
You didn't watch Marcel the Shell.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I watched Frozen with my daughter. I'll vote for that. Like, that's literally how animated pictures win the Oscars, because the people in the Academy voted for it because it was like the only movie they watched with their kids. Like, that's how little they care about us. And if you it's not like me trying to make you feel bad. This is like just reality,
bringing your ego down to reality a little bit.
Like, I'm saying, I was saying this about myself, okay, at the time. Like, I had a like very clear expectation for how I will be perceived in Hollywood and all this stuff. It's not until you start working and like Instagram artists started like becoming a thing, and everyone moved to Twitter because you literally don't have to do shit for recognition. You can literally have something.
And Instagram was getting harder.
Yes.
Artists were complaining.
The algorithm was changing. Things were just bad for artists. So people moved to Twitter, where all you have to do is tweet your bullshit and have a title in your bio, and then suddenly everyone just worships the ground you walk on. It wasn't until then that suddenly everyone in the industry has just like this giant big head about them that like, oh, we're so important. We are so important. No. We have never been. You talk to even like freelance DP cinematographers that they just work on like commercials or music videos every once in a while in LA, and even they don't think much of you, you know. Like, if you for some strange reason were at a cocktail party and you were intermingling with different parts of Hollywood, and you, the animation person, went up to the cinematographer, even the grip, go like, like, oh yeah, I work on this is so and so, and then they're like, what's so and so? Oh, it's a cartoon, and cartoon. And then their eyes glaze. Yeah, they don't care. Yeah. They do not care. Meanwhile, you're like, oh, I was on a grip for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Everyone would be like, oh, wow. Oh my God, that's cool. So literally, entertainment doesn't care. They've moved on, whatever. The animation shills. And to define animation shills, they are the people online who, for whatever reason, are like the stands of corporate animation. They do not work for these companies, but their commissions are definitely open.
Jesus Christ, shit.
They definitely have an anime icon in their Twitter bio. They are like they want so desperately to be hired by the industry. And I call them shills because there's a difference between someone who just is like working really hard to get hired and someone who's like a stan for corporate animation.
They don't watch other movies.
No. And they like Alex Hirsch is like Lord and Savior to them. Like
There's a shrine.
Yes.
There's an entire shrine.
There's no
His word is law, don't you see?
Yes. The animation shills are experiencing cognitive dissonance right now. They're doing so much mental gymnastics over this news. They are coping by saying like, oh, I can't believe, like they're in genuine shock because to them these shows make money. These shows are successful. To them there's absolutely no reason to cancel these shows and to fire all these people except for whatever reason Zaslav is Satan and he just hates artists and wants to hurt us. And they're claiming disinformation. So they're the people who are like, it's fake news. So I looked into this and I was so confused because I was like, what about this is fake news? So they were really mad at Cartoon Brew. Cartoon Brew is like a independent, artist-centric news journalistic outlet, I guess.
Crude oversimplification. It's a tabloid magazine about animation.
Yes.
Yes.
And art in general.
Yeah.
Creative stuff. Cartoon Brew had basically reported on this, and for whatever reason, I don't really understand. I haven't followed the drama behind Cartoon Brew. They reported on me, actually, when I
thought it was quite fair.
They didn't say. They literally just like put my video and was like interesting. Explain who I was and what the video is about, and then like that's literally just the article. They didn't say anything about me. It's the subsequent people who use the article as
who actually always dreamt of being on
who extrapolated so much weird nonsense from my video and so, like my best friend sent me the article and then also I think sent me how people are talking about me on Facebook with the article, and she was like, LOL, everyone's talking about you. And she's like not in the industry at all. She's like trying to be a doctor right now. Like she was like, even she saw it, and then I clicked it and it just gave me like a Facebook link to like just a bunch of Karens who have taken that article and are spreading it. And there was one Karen in particular who was like, she's not a storyboard artist. In her resume, it says she was a story revisionist. That's a really different job. That with very different whatever. This proves that she's a liar. This is misinformation.
Do you think the industry gives a shit? They're like, can you draw? Do revisionist work. Can you draw? We don't have enough people doing board work, so can you board this? Like, what are you talking? Where have you been? Where have you been? How long has it been since you've been working? They don't have enough people. This is why everybody's like doing the whole hoopla about like why we want better rights from the guild to protect us from making us do more jobs than we should.
Yeah.
As a revisionist, we don't want to board more. We don't want
so
to edit.
Less. Yeah.
We don't want to do all these things. But like,
it's the same job. Like
it's the same
you have
shit.
the same qualifications and skills. And
what is this shit about like titles? You're there drawing.
I didn't realize what was happening at the time, but it's the exact same thing that's happening now with the Cartoon Network thing. When something paints them in a bad light, their first defense tactic is to discredit you. So for the subsequent
that's why they discredit Cartoon Brew.
Exactly.
I see.
So they needed me to be someone to just not be listened to.
Don't listen to her.
So like, yeah, a lot of people then will come out with my years of experience. I work for blah, 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 so I know what I'm talking about, and not this person. And to me, I find that really hypocritical. Because, like, if you say that I'm lowest on the totem pole, but technically we're all lowest on the totem pole compared to Zaslav, okay? Like, we're labor. We are all together shit out of luck.
They like look down on us and go like, look at them fighting over their little titles.
Yeah.
Look at them. That's so funny. Oh, they're going to work so hard for us.
Yeah, let's give them like a writing credit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh my
Make
God.
them fight over it. Yeah, they'll...
I don't know what's more fun, their show or what is happening behind the scenes of their show. If you really care about like the culture of your company or whatever, shouldn't you care about what the lowest on the totem pole feels about working there? To me, I was just like, that's not. It's just all their initial, like, it's everyone's initial tactic. It's like in politician world, it's exactly the same thing. The first thing they're gonna do is discredit you, and then the second thing when you go into a job interview, you want to make yourself look good. You say, "Oh, Jerry over there, I went to school with Jerry. He sucks."
Yeah. So I was like wondering why Cartoon Brew was discredited. I mean, animation does not like Cartoon Brew. People inside animation. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why.
I assume it's because they've probably been the receiving end of a story once or twice. Probably harbored bitter feelings, something like that.
Yeah. I saw some art director for Cartoon Network basically tweeted at Cartoon Brew and went like, shame on you. Animation shills, who, by the way, do not work for animation, took that as like, well, this art director probably knows what they're saying. Cartoon Brew doesn't have a great track history, so
I'll trust the
industry, and I'll be their stan, and I'll just spread the word that this is misinformation and this is just lies. But it also was kind of perpetuated by Alex Hirsch, who I don't know, tweeted something about like, don't believe in Cartoon Brew because they don't have a great track history. People are like screenshotting the tweet.
They're just like, see.
Our Lord and Savior Alex Hirsch said is misinformation, so it must be. And I was just like,
what Cartoon Brew do? Because they're supposed to do the whole like, well, this is based off of journalistic integrity and all of those practices.
Yeah, so like Cartoon Brew responded to the art director and was like, I don't know what you mean by misinformation because the source is literally Warner Brothers themselves, and we didn't say anything that's like wrong. And then the response from the art director was like, you can stand by your story if you want, something like that, but it basically it doesn't help what you're doing. It affects a lot of people who are still in the industry like me. If you need a translation, if you think people tweet and speak what they really mean in Hollywood, they don't. What he is really saying is, well, I don't care that you wrote the truth, it still hurt my feelings because you're talking bad shit about me. I'm
on the receiving end of the story, and that's not cool.
Yeah, so I would say the animation elitists, is what I would call them, are really hurt. Their feelings are hurt because their reputation is hurt. It seems
they made this their lives, man.
Yeah.
They really made it explicitly clear that there's nothing else going for them other than working for the industry.
Yeah.
Have you got laid off recently at your animation job and you're wondering, man, what's the point of it all? Am I just going to have to get laid off, hired, laid off all over again? And then you look out into the void and you have this huge existential crisis and you don't know what all your creativity or even what your life is about. When I have these existential thoughts of dread, you know what helps me? What? Coffee brand coffee. Coffee brand coffee gets me really excited to kick ass at work, and boy, oh boy, does it give me a fresh kick in the ass.
Use code honeyandabsinthe at checkout for 10% off your order at the link down below.
Enjoy your enema.
Look, I used to be a really, really, really big fan of Alex Hirsch.
Oh, I see.
Like
I said about animation. I was like, oh, dude, I was like the biggest fan. You and I, we were like, we would do anything for this thing. We would believe anybody.
yeah.
We believed our teachers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We would have done the same thing. I would assume. If I were trying to be empathetic to the animation shows, I would have probably done the same thing. If Alex Hirsch said it, it must be true. But now that I'm older, I've met a lot of my heroes, and you should never meet your heroes. Let's just say most of them aren't great. You can admire them for what they're good at, which is drawing, making a show, whatever.
Making shit up.
Yes, being creative. They know nothing about what is actually happening in the studio. Oftentimes, we hear what is happening to our own studio and our own jobs in the fucking news. That's how little they give two shits about us. And it doesn't matter if you're an art director or a storyboard revisionist. Like I said, we're all the bottom of the totem pole. We're all labor to them. We're not the product. Like, we are a liability, actually, to them. Most of the time, our directors and art directors don't even know what's happening half the time. And when they do, they try their best to, like, tell us what's happening as it goes. And really, genuinely, sometimes we are learning this shit.
And by the time that happens, it's so late.
Yeah, like, everyone also knows.
Yeah.
Literally everyone in the world.
Right.
And we didn't get any heads up or whatever. So, like, to assume that this art director probably didn't know that people were getting let go and he works there, like, that's very, very likely, you know? Like, to assume these people know any more what's going on than any of us is false. But they like to pretend like they do. They like to pretend like they like to let the job title in their bio, their accomplishments or the accomplishments of the studio they work for
Accomplishments?
Yeah, they like to let that speak for so much. They like to let people assume things about them, assume good things. Like, oh, they must be so powerful. They must actually know what's going on. They're
like
insider.
he's in the board meetings with Zaslav. Right. I see,
exactly. Meanwhile, I noticed that the people who are actually affected, the people who were let go, let's say, they're very quiet. They're very quiet about this because it is not good right now. Everyone knows in the industry, fall and winter is when things are winding down, shows are ending.
You won't get a job until March.
At latest March.
Yeah.
You'll freelance maybe if you're lucky, or fill in for someone if your show's ending. But, like, it's not a good time. Plus, arguably we're in a recession or about to be. It's just getting laid off in a recession is no good. Imagine being that person. You are just desperately trying to get your next job in a really bad time. So you're trying to be quiet. You're not gonna rock the boat. You're just gonna be like,
I need to eat.
It is what it is. Yeah, I need to eat. I need to go put my portfolio out there and, like, get freelance or something. They're not running their mouths on Twitter arguing with Cartoon Brew. They don't have that luxury. In fact, most art directors are not going to do that. No. Like, I thought about every person.
No one
I
know that I've ever worked with would give a shit about this. In fact, they'd be polishing their portfolios, emailing friends. That's what you do. That's protocol. Like, we're telling you this as if we're, like, doomsayers, but this is reality.
Yeah.
If you're, like, in it for, like, longer than 3 to 5 years, you know that this is what happens. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's as apocalyptic as what's happening with this Cartoon Network shit, or if it's just simply their show ended. Yeah. You're gonna have to polish up your resume and your portfolio and send it out to people anyway. And I just don't see, like, you must be in such a great position, of luxury, that instead of helping your fellow coworkers get a job, instead of, like, you know, I don't know, just raising awareness to this stuff, it's instead I'm gonna shoot the messenger, because that does so much. That really fucking helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then to fucking get shot down by Cartoon Brew. You get to be the guy that Cartoon Brew gets to say, like, go ahead and cry about it, but we're standing beside our story.
Yeah, because like they literally just reacted to the title. It was something like Cartoon Network as we know it is gone. They were like, oh, it's sensationalist, it's whatever. But I read the article and I was like, there's nothing about this that is they're literally just reporting facts. The only thing that isn't, that's kind of like, I don't know if I would say that, is like there's speculation on what Warner Brothers has in store for the future of the content.
That's opinion.
Yeah, no one knows that except for maybe Zaslav and some other people. But like, they're just reporting what was happening, and I was just confused. Like, why would you act this way? Because something that I always had a bad taste in my mouth on Twitter about when I would see it, which is why I try my best to avoid that side of Twitter. I hate it when people pretend like they're trying to help artists on Twitter by having these long Twitter threads about what it's like to be a storyboard artist, or like, oh, retweeting someone's like work or something and be like, my friend just got laid off, please hire her. Because I'm like, okay, being on the other side of that and like seeing friends get laid off, for the most part, unless you're fucking dick, which I know some people who are, we empathize with each other when our show ends or when you get laid off. With like, it sucks, we all get it.
I get flashbacks to when it happened to me.
Yeah,
you get flashbacks and everyone can empathize.
So what you do is, if you're good friends, is you reach out to them, or without even having to reach out to them, you just take their work, because we all know where your portfolio's at, and no one hides it. We'll just take your website link, put it in a personal email to our recruiter person for whatever studio we're working at, and be like, hey, so and so, my friend, I vouch for them, give them a job.
And this is how we've been doing it for decades. People in the industry do it. People who've worked longer than us, twice as long as us. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So your friend loses a job, you put in a good word for them if you want to help them out.
And that's all you can do. This doesn't guarantee them a job. This doesn't guarantee anything.
Eases your conscience and makes you feel like you did something, at the very least.
Yeah, at the very least, maybe you'll reach out and be like, hey, I know these shows are starting up. Maybe have an action portfolio ready. Maybe have a comedy portfolio ready. It's in this style, so maybe like show them this stuff and like make it seem like you're a good fit. Like, that's the most you can do. And then you just cross your fingers and hope that they land on their feet, and then they do their due diligence of just hustling. You don't go on Twitter and just hope that someone what that is Twitter points. It's like, I'm trying to get Twitter points for myself. This is not like, this is everything that people do, and even Hollywood. Like, oh, the difference between people who like donate to charities behind the scenes and never talk about it, like Keanu, and then the people who have to like make a whole fucking like PR show of it and be like, oh, I gave children who have cancer, I appeared as Batman for them. Like, it's like same exact thing, but except now it's Twitter on a very small level. And it's similar to like, this grinds my gears. And if you think I was lying by just simply saying that, like, oh, I'm a storyboard artist, when my specific title at the very specific job that I worked in was, like, revisionist, doesn't matter that I, like, storyboarded for other things. And if you think that's a lie, people will literally, like, if they work at Titmouse, let's say, or Bardell Animation if you're in Canada, a lot of times you'll be working on Cartoon Network shows or DreamWorks Netflix shows or whatever. But like, no, the average person might not even know the show that you're working on. They especially won't know the studio that you're at. Most normal people have no idea what Titmouse is. They have no idea what Bardell Animation is. But they do know Netflix. They do know Disney and Cartoon Network, all that stuff. So the amazing thing that I saw on Twitter is a lot of people will be like, I work on a show for Cartoon Network, on their bio, instead of just being like, I work at Titmouse, I work at whatever. And I was like, it's because somewhere in the back of your head, you know that, like, no one knows what your show is. No one knows even what studio you work for, but for whatever reason, you really need that prestige by association, so you have to word it in that very specific way. And the reason why it grinds my gears is because like your need for validation is so strong that you are willing to go through that much mental gymnastics to try to trick people.
into letting them know you work for the big corporate entity, not the small subsidiary.
Yes. Because, like, it's not enough to just be an interesting person. It's not enough to just do something that makes people like you. You have to just say, I work on a Cartoon Network show. That's the level of crazy that is both in and out of the industry. So, yes. Our reaction to the news is, we would have been shocked, but we're not.
We would have been shocked 6 months ago, 8 months ago, but looking at, like, especially after the first round of layoffs, and thinking about, like, looking at every other studio from Disney to even Paramount and seeing how they're consolidating elements, and you look at WB and it's just like they have Boomerang. Wait, they have Hanna-Barbera.
Right.
They have Cartoon Network. Yeah. And then we don't know what happened to Adult Swim. What happened to Adult Swim?
Yeah.
And, like, we don't know, and I just feel like, wouldn't it be great if this were just like one thing? So we just call it one thing?
Yes. If you're cutting so much anyways.
Yeah, that's what it like makes sense to me. And it's just like, for me, I am, as these people call an industry professional, if I get to do good work and then make my bread, I don't give a shit what the label is, man. Like, am I gone or not? Do I have to polish my portfolio resume or not? Yeah. Man, like, I don't... Labels are labels, dude. Like, I don't...
The people...
It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, the animation show people who are, like, super upset about this, to me, like, it's such... Like you said, you either have to be in a super luxurious position where you were not affected, you would have gotten lucky or something, or, in my opinion, you've never worked goddamn day in your life.
Probably.
When your job and livelihood is on the line, you don't have the benefit to complain about this. The first thing I would have thought about when all this news was going down is like, shit, I need to like hustle. If like all the people who are quiet behind the scenes are doing the right thing, like you're probably working on your portfolio, working on a side project.
It's the sensible, human, professional thing to do.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Like, secure your bag.
Yeah. Like, take care of yourself. Yeah. You don't have the luxury to complain about labels and whether it's dead or if it's misinformation or whatever. You just lost your fucking job. I don't care about this. So, yeah, that's I'm like, have you guys had a job? Like, no one actually cares about the, like, semantics of the situation. So the reason why I'm not that surprised is I kind of expected this. We were talking about this a while ago. I was like, the only show that I really liked that's like more modern from Cartoon Network was We Bare Bears, and then turns out like it's pretty much done. And then I was like, what's the last thing that was like successful from Cartoon Network? And you think of
Gumball,
Steven Universe,
yes,
stuff like that. But like, isn't Steven Universe done as well?
Yeah, they have their like Steven Universe Boruto Shippuden.
Like a baby.
Yeah, spin-off.
I was just like, well, okay. If I can't name a bunch of shows that I would personally watch, that I do watch, then like, who is watching these shows? No one's really talking about it. They haven't had a hit as big as like Adventure Time and Powerpuff Girls and Dex, like that era. That's like when you show like the Cartoon Network pantheon of properties that they have. When you like, most of them are like from the 90s and aughts. The more recent ones, a lot of people won't recognize those characters. And
wait, you show Clarence to people at the Safeway, they'll be
some
like,
people
Clarence, right?
probably won't know. Most people probably won't know. You show like Powerpuff Girls, like even like my grandma might recognize it at least. Yeah, they haven't had a hit in a while, and their messaging, it hasn't been great. I don't really think this is a go woke, go broke situation, but honestly, it kind of looks like it.
Explain.
So like the people that got laid off, some of them were in the animation department. Some of them were in the scripted and unscripted shows department, meaning like reality shows like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, scripted, like normal scripted shows. And then also marketing, like a huge section of Cartoon Network marketing got laid off, including the 2 top executives for marketing. And at first I was like, oh, this is just it's probably just a business thing of cutting things that don't work or don't work very well. But then when I saw that like marketing got cut like really hard, and they haven't had a great track record, they got poo-pooed for a lot of those Steven Universe PSA ads, that anti-racist ads,
Right.
and stuff like that, and just caused WB Cartoon Network a lot of bad press. And that's marketing. That's like that's the thing. I thought when I was reading the Hollywood Reporter article about this, that the 2 top marketing execs got fired, basically. I thought it was just a paring down situation since they're merging. I'm sure there's a marketing executive at Warner Brothers that there's just redundancy. But then I saw that they're going to be replaced, and they haven't announced who are going to fill the jobs again. I was like,
So it's not a redundancy problem. They just were the powers that be saw their work as inadequate.
Yes. Their marketing work as inadequate or embarrassing or just did not work. So I was just like,
Wasn't a net good.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it kind of sounds like a get woke, go broke situation here. Or at the very least, you made us look bad and you're a fucking marketing exec.
Supposed to make us look good.
Yeah. Like that's not that's not exactly what you were hired to do. In fact, that's the exact opposite of what you were hired to do. On top of that, you mentioned that they're kind of Cartoon Network is generationally in trouble.
Oh, yes. It's in the name. Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Who's watching network TV?
Yeah.
Everything's going streaming, and even though we poo-poo streaming and how it's falling apart and how sometimes I just want cable, no one's going back to cable. And therefore, it's just like, when we grew up, cable was a big thing. Oh, look at this. You get but to our best ability at the time, like cartoons on demand by watching something like Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And then the internet comes, and then people are cutting the cord, and it makes me feel like what Gen Z is gonna go to the TV and watch these things. In fact, like why aren't they making these cartoons for TikTok? That's where the youth is.
Yeah.
They're not in front of the TV like how we were growing up. Like they're on their phones, on their bed or on their couch with their friends or something.
I would say millennials were probably the last generation that watched cartoons like that.
Yeah.
I think we are probably one of the last group of weird adults who love cartoons at an age where we're probably should have grown out of it.
You don't think Gen Z won't be like that when they're older?
No, I think Gen Z's into anime. If you think about it, we as millennials have all cut the cord. I don't know anyone who still has cable who's in our age demographic. And Cartoon Network, even though they will have some shows like Steven Universe where adults might watch it, adults meaning like college age people might still watch Steven Universe, that's in the minority. Most of the demographic should be little kids. So millennials are the ones who are having children right now. If we don't have cable, how are we gonna not really parent or put them in front of a screen? We'll put them in front of an iPad or something. Well, we'd probably have Disney Plus or some kind of streaming thing that we can just be like, oh, I'll put on Cocomelon or something, I don't know, for our kid. I don't know of a millennial who knows of any Cartoon Network show. Simply millennials will know of I don't know, Paw Patrol or whatever, for their kids, but I have not. Generationally, Gen Z watches anime. and they watch TikTok.
They don't consume stuff on a TV.
No. In fact, they're kind of really into what's it called? Like indie animation. They really like crude animation because it makes them feel like I can do it too.
Done on Procreate.
Yeah, exactly. So like when people are getting great success on YouTube and TikTok, that's free and is automatically served to their noggins because they're on it every single day. They're gonna like that, and they're not gonna be watching your Cartoon Network show. And on top of that, if it has to be on streaming, if people are gonna watch it, and if people are gonna show it to their kids, you have to kind of target it to Gen Alpha at this point. And I really doubt there's very many Gen Alpha kids who are watching cable. Which brings me to my very first thought when I heard this news was like, oh shit, CalArts is in trouble. If you don't know...
Explain the pipeline, Jan.
Okay. CalArts is a private art school created basically by Disney to kind of be the school to like pipeline to like you go to that college, you graduate, you can get hired into our company to do something. It's not technically just an animation school, it's a creative school. There's dance, music, writing, acting, drawing, obviously, animation. So it's like an arts school. And it's like catered to like get you into the industry, supposedly. CalArts is one of those schools that like everyone in California, in the world, in the US, that's like one of their like top art schools that they want to get into, to be able
brand
to like,
name school.
Yeah,
brand
like
name school.
I got into this big brand name school.
I've heard of that school.
Yeah. So we went to Art Center. It's kind of sort of the competitor school in California. Not exactly though, because we don't have the same history. We were not created for entertainment. We actually don't have a history in entertainment. We have a history in the Bauhaus movement and creating functional art. We have always been people who like were architects, were photographers, advertisers, people that illustrators, but like for magazines and stuff like that. We never really had like catered to Hollywood until fairly recently, because our school motto is like, you're a designer, make yourself useful. It's not really about being creative necessarily. So I have like CalArts grads. Cartoon Network is kind of a nepotism crony company for that school on top. Like everyone kind of knows Disney is, but it's kind of like where the top of your class goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you know, in Art Center, this stupid thing called front wall, and everyone
Yeah.
competes for front wall, and like the best people go front wall, go straight to like Sony Animation or Pixar or something. And then like in CalArts' case, yes, they hope to aspire that, but it's sort of like they get dumped into Disney TV
Yes.
or Disney Toons at the time.
Yeah.
But everyone else, they go to Cartoon Network.
Yeah. So like the whole like anger towards the CalArts style.
So it's almost like you get to say like, oh, go to our school and we kind of secure you a job later on.
Yeah, kind of in Hollywood and animation and whatever. But unfortunately, all you learn in that school is specific.
Is how to do animation
Yeah,
shit.
that's kind of all you know. Like it was so sad. I don't know if I told this story before, but like when I was leaving Disney, I had a coworker who was suffering as much as I was suffering, except worse because she was new to the industry and she wasn't entirely sure what was happening, and she thought she was going crazy, and I was like, no, you're not going crazy, this is what it is. And I told her like all my plans about leaving, all that stuff, and she told me that like, yeah, but like I have like $200,000 in debt, so, and this is all I know how to do. I worked 4+ years to be able to do this, and now like I want to take care of my parents, I need to get rid of this debt.
Yeah, us Art Center people bitch and moan about like how shitty our debt is, and it's like at least
we know how to kind of figure it out on our own without the industry, whether it be like designing signage for something, anything.
Yeah. So like, unfortunately, like, yes, when you go to art center, you do trap yourself. Any kind of college with a huge tuition amount, you trap yourself into debt. So you are trapped working a job that you hate and can't leave because you have, your chains are your debt. Like you're just trapped in this. And what's worse is like, at least at art center, we were taught to do a lot of things. So like, we were never relegated to one specific role. You can graduate illustration and work as a graphic designer. You can graduate a graphic designer and work as an illustrator. You can go into woodworking. You can model things in 3D, and Hollywood is just an option. So like, yes, we're all trapped under a shit ton of debt, but at least we have
a way out.
Some like choice in job. We could decide to quit and do something else if we wanted to. We will always have to work, but at least we could be like, I can do something else. I can illustrate children's books. I can do something else that's not this. But she was straight up like, this is all I know how to do. Like, and I was like, that's so sad. That's like so like tragic. And the reason why I say CalArts is kind of like a nepotism, cronyism thing for like Cartoon Network. Like, where's my proof? You don't know anything. CalArts and Art Center have had a kind of rivalry, kind of like USC, UCLA, if you're into like football or something.
It's all bullshit at the end of the day.
It's bullshit at the end of the day. It should be bullshit. Yeah. By the time we were the graduating class, that kind of thing has kind of like petered out. Like, it wasn't really a thing by the time so like now.
Yeah, at our generation, we were like working with CalArts people.
Yeah,
like
we don't have weird.
The racism of yours, basically.
Weird animosity towards each other. But when I was still in school, I went to, it was Comic-Con, and I brought my portfolio and did the whole portfolio thing. So I interviewed with Cartoon Network, okay? And I was like maybe 2 years, not even, probably like my first 1.5 years into school. So I was like baby art college student at the time. And I just wanted to know how to get better. I literally wasn't even trying to get a job. I was like, how do I get my work to be better so I can get a job by the time I graduate? So I interviewed with Cartoon Network. She literally, she's not even looking at my work. She's like looking at me and flipping the pages and occasionally glancing down. And she had the most passive aggressive comments not about my work. So she was looking at it and was like, you from Art Center? And I'm like, yes. And then she was like, I knew it. And I was like, how? And she's like, all your portfolios look the same. All the same header, all that stuff. And I was just like, in my head, I was like, I don't give a shit about the header. What do you think about my fucking work? I was just so like, okay. Like one of my first interviews ever, but okay, whatever. And then she gets to the end, and then she was like, okay, look, you know, I teach at CalArts. And then I was like, oh no, that's cool. And then she was like, yeah, so I would never hire an art center student. And then I was like, okay. She like hands me my portfolio back, and then I just go back to waiting to like my next interview, which I think was with Leica or something. And I was like I'm young, I had a late birthday. I was probably like maybe 19. This lady was probably like 30 plus at least. Yeesh. And at the time, I didn't even know about the CalArts Art Center rivalry, okay? I was that new to school, to the idea of the industry at all. And like, I just got told that because of the school I am going to, I will never be hired at Cartoon Network.
That's schoolism! That's schoolism.
Because they only hired CalArts students.
CalArts hashtag schoolism. That's schoolism, god damn it.
I was kind of like, okay. And I had that with me, like, my entire career. Recently, it's been a lot better.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it matters all that much anymore. I don't know if things have changed all that much.
I think all those people probably just got, like, phased out. Because studios should be like, at this point, like, it's stupid to have rivalries. We need all the fucking workers labor we can get.
Who gives
Fuck
a
this
shit if you're good? It's still really hard, actually, though, for art center students to work at Cartoon Network. That's why most of the people who have produced shows at Cartoon Network are from CalArts, and that's the whole CalArts style thing. Because that literally is the CalArts style.
They're so upset now, man.
That, like, they're made fun of for the stuff like that.
Well, that too. Yeah. But... yeah, but then like that, like there's no, even worse so, there's no safety net for your recent grads.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
so you have a ton of people graduating CalArts, kind of like lemmings falling out of that lemming game and then like going into like a pit of doom.
Yeah.
You used to have like a safety net, which is Cartoon Network. You know?
Yeah, I used to think it was really unfair. Obviously, I had that unfortunate early experience in life with that, but when I started working, I saw exactly how actually unfair it is for them to have gotten kind of, in my opinion, a really not well-rounded education.
Yeah.
Like,
and like for the same price as ours.
Yeah,
and you're getting so much less.
I mean, none of the education is all that great at this point,
well,
but
yeah.
like, it's so sad to me to see, like, arguably CalArts people are very good at drawing because that's literally all they do 24/7. Like, the amount of life drawing classes you have to do in like literally every single year,
it's crazier than
insane.
us and Otis, who also touts themselves as doing a lot of figure drawing.
Yeah. So like when you meet them, like, they're very good at drawing, they're very creative, they're very good at this very, very specific thing, but they can't do anything else very well because they became hyper specialized. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like your specialization should be in yourself as an intelligent human being. It shouldn't be necessarily in a very specific skill. You know, like, one of our favorite teachers always, like, my biggest hope, the thing that I hope you can take away from this school is that you learn how to learn. If you can do that, you'll be fine. I don't want to teach you how to draw necessarily. Anyone can teach you that. I don't necessarily want you to be a great painter or whatever, but I want you to just be good at figuring it out. Because if you can do that, you can do anything. So I immediately thought, ooh, CalArts grads are in trouble. And like I don't have any animosity towards CalArts grads.
Dude, we're all getting fucked equally.
Yes.
By the guild, by our betters.
Yeah, we have a lot of CalArts friends at this point. Okay,
yeah, it's fine. Like this is dumb, and the animosity was dumb. I resent my school for a lot of the same reasons you resent your school.
Yes.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. People who
perpetuate it are fucking dumb.
Yes, that lady was like, "What's wrong with you? You're in your fucking 30s.
Get a fucking life, dude.
Yeah, like, go to therapy. Treat your trauma. Don't do that to me.
Go be with your fucking family, dude. Jesus Christ.
Chill the fuck out. It's not that big of a deal." So our reaction to the reaction, I think, is more interesting. So when I heard the news, I was like, the normal sensible reaction to this is empathy for the people who lost their jobs, sadness and nostalgia for the end of our childhoods as millennials, and then just acceptance and moving on. Okay, acceptance that this is reality and just, okay, move on.
Gotta take care of myself now. Gotta, you know, instead of just like stewing on it and being like, it's not true. It's not true.
You should go through the 7 stages or however many stages of grief in like a split second, and you should just like move on with your life. Instead, people are like stuck on like anger or like confusion or whatever. So the reaction, a lot of people are blaming Zaslav. He is like the devil reincarnate. He is like the Antichrist come to Earth for a lot of animation people, animation shows. And I'm just, I don't really understand it because, like, he's so high up on the totem pole, he might as well be God. Like, there's nothing you can do or say that's going to change anyone's minds. He's making probably $250 million at the end of this year by doing this to you. He's pointing and laughing at you, and you're complaining. Like, he does not care. You are an ant.
We are but lemmings. little things.
Even notice you. Like, I don't understand this, like, blaming Zaslav for what? It doesn't help the situation. It doesn't do anything. And I keep seeing this assumption that, like, for whatever reason, these shows are making money. Therefore, this is just some cruel things people like Zaslav are doing to artists. And I genuinely can't chalk that up to anything more than cognitive dissonance. Listen, if I was selling a t-shirt and it was making me boatloads of money, I would not randomly cancel that t-shirt. Yeah, cancel that t-shirt and be like, I'm going to sell some other t-shirt because I feel like it.
But I realize I have 2 or 3 hits amongst the 10.
Yes.
What am I going to do to the rest of the 7?
Just
phase them out.
Yeah, because they're not selling.
Yeah, it's that simple. It's like a print. When your print doesn't sell, but one does, are you going to keep selling the print that doesn't sell? No. And when you scale that up, how different is that from from the TV shows that we work on?
People don't attribute to malice
right.
that you can contribute that you think is most likely just stupidity. Like, most people do not give 2 shits about you.
This is personal, man.
Yeah, like, it's not personal.
Let's make them hurt and let's make them cry. Like, that's not like. They're thinking like let's save money so we get rich later. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah, it's not. As someone who has, like, experienced layoffs, who's, like, every time something, I did not go like, well, I didn't see that coming. Like, every single time I was like, I guess it's not like this show is gonna make money, or maybe they don't believe in it or whatever. Oh, it's no.
You probably know, like, halfway through the season that, like, man, the show.
Yeah.
I think I need to, and you're already thinking about how you're gonna climb the ladder. Like, oh,
yeah.
Now is my chance to go to Nickelodeon.
Yeah, exactly.
Now is my chance to go to Disney or whatever.
So, like, people, like, they're dumb, but they're not that dumb.
Right.
And they're mean, but they're not
that mean.
Yeah.
They're not malicious.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have, like, a server full of your, like, outbursts and, like, they like do seances with. Like, it's ridiculous. This is that, and I attribute it to, like, the imaginative artistic mind that they have to, like, good versus evil everything.
Yeah, I just think it's silly. And on top of that, like, the shooting the messenger thing that's happening, like, so I saw, we're literally going to title this RIP Cartoon Network, because I saw some animation show got so mad at people who had, like, sensationalist headlines, titles for their YouTube videos, or, like, Cartoon Brew, like, this is fake news, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, your anger makes me amused. But, like, the shooting of the messenger, I noticed in animation, is really annoying because it only goes a certain direction. Like I said at the very beginning, Variety reported on this, Deadline reported on this, The Hollywood Reporter reported on this, Yahoo reported on this. Who knew Yahoo News was still alive? And people still read it. But, like, you specifically attack YouTubers and Cartoon Brew, who are literally just taking it from these more
bigger sources.
Yeah, reputable, longer standing sources. It's because, in my opinion, you can ride on the coattails of, like, the brand of Cartoon Network or whatever place you work for and be like, well, I can look better than Cartoon Brew. I can look better than The Quartering. What does he know? I actually work at the studio. But, you don't...
You can flex your industry status.
But you don't dare call out Hollywood Reporter for doing the exact same fucking thing. So I'm just like, what's wrong? What?
You don't bite the hand that feeds.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No.
no.
You pick on the people below you instead of you punch down. Animation people, elitists always punch down. They never punch up. It's amazing. It's because they don't want to lose. Like, they're so obsessed with appearances that they don't want to be ratioed.
You don't know how many people reach out to us in the DMs. I mean, ever since we talked about DMs, we've been doing a little bit better about talking to people in our DMs, and a lot of them going like, yo, I used to like, you know, think the animation industry was this and this and that, but with everything that's happening and with how people are in the industry specifically are reacting to it, I've rethought my career.
Yeah, like I don't want to work in it anymore.
Yeah.
I've decided to do something else. Every time I get a DM like that, it just makes my day, because I'm like, I don't know who in their goddamn crazy mind thinks I could have done anything to affect any type of change, because I don't believe I do. I think you yourselves are doing a fantastic job ruining your own goddamn
Career.
reputation.
Yeah.
Like,
We didn't have to do much.
I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, shooting the messenger is just not gonna work. As I was like venting about this to you, reacting to the reaction and just being like, these people are insane. Why are they insane? We were at the exact same time. We had just rewatched Mad Max Fury Road.
We were both very tired. We were on a 80s schlockfest horror bender, because Criterion Collection has an outstanding collection of schlocky B movies from the 80s. Lots of Juno synth, lots of bright like just like almost purple blood. Like, it's a little too red, you know? And I think you and I were really tired, and I was like, I just want to watch, like, you know, when you want like pad thai or something, you want like comfort food. It's like, I want to watch a movie that like I know is good, makes me feel good, makes me feel happy. So then I begin to go and watch Mad Max Fury Road in Chrome, the black and white version.
Yeah. So we were watching that movie. We had just finished it, and then I heard this news. I was trying to like...
What'd you think of watching it again, by the way?
It's a fun time. It's a feat for the eyes and a feat in filmmaking in
Mad Max
general.
versus Top Gun Maverick.
Oh man, I would still say Top Gun.
I say Mad Max.
Mad Max is more interesting to watch. Top Gun has kind of a more interesting story. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to you there.
And I was trying to empathize with animation chills. I've been trying to lately. I've been trying to not shit on them so much in my head and try to give like them more empathy and to be like, maybe once upon a time I was like you. And I realized I have a metaphor for all of you people who have watched Mad Max. Okay, so first, Zaslav, if he is a character in the movie, is Mother Nature.
Zaslav is the haboob that carries the vehicles and the war boys, and just when they think they're about to survive, they get struck by lightning. He's the water. He is the green place. He is the swamp and the wasteland.
Yes. You cannot control it. If it decides to give you a green land, it will give you a green land. If it decides to suddenly get poisonous and just give you a wasteland, he will give you a wasteland. Zaslav is a force of nature that you cannot control. He might as well be God.
Might as well be Michael Myers.
Yes, he might as well be the director of the movie. The creator of the simulation. The person playing XCOM with your life.
Yes, the person playing Fire Emblem with your life.
Exactly. The animation chills. They still aggravate me. They're still annoying. But they're less annoying now that I compare them. They are the war boys.
Animation people are the war boys.
They're the war boys.
They just want to live, die, and live again. That's all they want to do. They want glory and Valhalla.
Yes.
They are very simple folk.
They are comma crazy.
They're comma crazy, as Furiosa would say.
No wasted deaths or whatever that one wife said. He doesn't know what's happening. He's kind of crazy. He's being controlled by Immortan Joe, or how do you say it?
Immortan Joe.
Immortan Joe. Immortan Joe are the animation elitists who lie to you and tell you sweet nothings.
I will give you a place in Valhalla. I will secure you a job in Cartoon Network.
That's of all of you. All of you.
Just-
God, go fucking make a webtoon, losers. Fuck. Stop coercing these goddamn fucking kids, man. It's the fucking recession. Could be a fucking depression. And you're fucking taking kids' money from fucking children.
Just pay me thousands of dollars so I can get you a job. If you take my course, you will somehow magically be given a job. And have all this, like, you will be the next Jim Lee or something. I don't know. And then I and fellow reporters are furiosa. And you might think, oh, how narcissistic. You're the fucking savior. Like, no. I'm fucking delusional. I think there's a green place and there isn't.
That's true.
Like,
Furiosa is delusional for most of the movie. That's right.
But our heart's in the right place.
Right.
By going completely the other direction that I should not be going.
And then the war boy asks, why are you going that way? Where are you going? We're going south. Or west, I forgot what she said.
So that is my metaphor. That helps me feel better about the whole situation and go like, well, everyone's going to get exactly what they deserve.
Right.
So the lesson here, I wanted a positive message because I learned from Dave Ramsey that getting let go, getting fired, getting whatever is not a bad thing. It's a gift. It's an opportunity. Don't look at it like, oh,
woe is me.
Woe is me. This is like the greatest opportunity you can have. And the lesson should be that you stop worshiping corporations or an entire industry. If you think back to when you were a young kid who was falling in love with drawing, painting, even animation, you weren't in love. If you're truly honest with yourself, you weren't in love with animation. You were in love with a show. You weren't in love with the show itself. You like certain characters in the show. You liked the way something was drawn. You copied it because you had the joy of creating something. You created comics and God knows what, sculptures, I don't know.
Stop motion.
Because you loved it. You like art. You don't like the animation industry. You like art. You don't like Cartoon Network, the fucking corporation that's willing to fire you at a moment's notice. So, like, I think I feel empathy for animation shows because they are comic crazy. They're like, they live, they die, and to live again. They want Valhalla.
I got laid off. I got hired. I live again.
And, like, I just feel so bad because somewhere along the line, you forgot why you feel that way. You, for whatever reason, idolize Immortan Joe. For whatever reason, you idolize the fucking corporations that don't give two shits about you. And you forgot about yourself and the reason why you got into this to begin with. And then instead, like, just stop. You can love the art. You can love the act of doing it. Don't love the fucking people who benefit very much from the status of you worshiping them. Don't love the industry. The animation exists without the industry if you continue to make it exist. So, like, go make something. Like, I really hope that all the people who don't necessarily need to jump onto the next job.
Yeah, maybe they, like, have been in it for, like, 5 to 7 years. Maybe they're, like, I could afford... I am sitting on some acorns. I could, like, try my hand at this shit I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think all the people that want to make me out to be a liar, to make Cartoon Brew out to be a liar, quartering, all this stuff is just like, you need to think clearly about what interest do they have in that. They've long forgot that they don't do this for status. Or they shouldn't. They never got into this for the money on this stuff, but now that's all they care about. Okay, but like, I just wish more people will just be in it for the art of it. And not like, oh, I work at Cartoon Network. I've always dreamed of working at Cartoon. No, just, shouldn't your dream be of I always dreamed to make something? Not to work at Cartoon Network? Like, so you're telling me you want to be like some office space dude working in a cubicle? Like, no, you should just dream of making a thing. It doesn't have to be for Cartoon Network. It doesn't have to be anyone. It can be for yourself. And that means you can do it now. we are recommending a really neat indie film called Funny Pages.
I recommend every one of you to watch this movie called Funny Pages.
If you are interested in a career in the arts, you should probably watch this film. It is like Whiplash for artists.
It's like Whiplash for artists. And if you're thinking, oh, that sounds like a dick punch, yes, it is.
When you call someone an industry professional, all industry professionals is the industry professional in that movie. We are all deranged. And we have all been the kind of cringe that is the main character. So if it makes you feel bad, don't worry. It was very cringe-inducing for me to watch it because I saw...
Because it was too real, man.
Yeah.
It was too real.
But it's important to keep your ego down and your head on your shoulders by watching a movie like this.
And then when the industry professional comes in, you're like, I know that guy. I know that guy.
We've been every single one of these characters, man, in our life.
Yeah.
It is a hard look at yourself in the mirror. And if you hate the movie, well, you need to put your ego down a little bit. Okay, if you like this episode, make sure to like, subscribe to our other podcast channel.
Please go to our new podcast channel and subscribe to that channel. We have plenty of new topics. We're going to finally talk, I think, we're going to finally do it, a stupid topic.
Yes.
We're going to fucking talk about the stupid Dolly AI art bullshit.
AI art.
So next topic is about AI art, which a lot of people have been asking us to talk about. Yeah. So follow us on our new podcast channel over here.
Watch our new music video.
New music coming out. You just watch out for it. Just watch out for it.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.